All right. So this, I wrote a drash kind of about this, so I'm going to read that part, or I'm going to give my drash. So we know. So in here, in this verse, I'll read it real quick. Hold on. We know when he sent out the brothers to sent out all the Egyptians so that he could reveal himself finally, and then he wept aloud, and everyone heard him. And so this, us, there's a few things that point to like a Mashiach Ben Yosef, and this is one of them. This is by him weeping, by him having compassion for his father, for his brothers, being emotional about seeing the change in his brothers, these kind of things. These are like strong ties to this idea of Mashiach Ben Yosef, and strong ties to how Yeshua is also so compassionate in this way. And so I have a lot of verses that I want to read that kind of connect this idea. And so first we have here in Genesis 42, verse 24. And he says he turned away from them and wept. So he went away. This is the first time his brothers came, and he went away and he wept where they couldn't see him. And another time, when he first saw Benjamin arrive, he did it again. Joseph hurried out, for he was deeply stirred over his brother, and he sought a place to weep. And he entered his chamber and wept there. And that was in Genesis 43, verse 30. And then in the one we just read just now, again he wept. He wept so loudly that the Egyptians heard it, and the household of Pharaoh heard of it. That was in Genesis 45, verse 2. That's actually kind of the wrong verse. It's here, though. We just read it. All right. And so this idea of a sorrowful Messiah it comes from Isaiah 53, verse 3. And it's a little bit different because Joseph's sorrow, it's not necessarily, I don't know, I can't really tie it to sorrow. It's more about compassion and emotion and more of like kind of a love type of thing. In Isaiah 53, verse 3, it says, a man of sorrows acquainted with grief, prophesying about Messiah. And so we know that even ties in even more so with Yeshua, but it ties into this idea of Mashiach Ben Yosef, right? And so then we can read all these verses about how Yeshua was compassionate. So we're just going to read through them. Seeing the people, he felt compassion for them because they were distressed and dispirited, like sheep without a shepherd. And that's in Matthew 9, verse 36. He felt compassion for them when they hungered. He told the disciples, I feel compassion for the people. In Mark 8, verse 2. He felt compassion for the blind. Moved with compassion, Yeshua touched their eyes. That's in Matthew 20, verse 34. He felt compassion for the sick. Moved with compassion, Yeshua stretched out his hand and he touched him. That's in Mark 1, verse 41. He felt compassion for the bereaved in the mourning. When the Lord saw her, he felt compassion for her and said to her, do not weep. That's in Luke 7, verse 13. And when he saw the mourners bewailing the death of Lazarus, Yeshua wept. John 11, verse 35. His heart broke over Yerushalayim. When he approached Yerushalayim, he saw the city and wept over it. And that's in Luke 19, verse 41. So, in these Gospels, it really shows how Yeshua is similar to Yosef, where he wants to reconcile things. Yeshua will reconcile things with his fellow Jews, with even with Yerushalayim as a whole. And and of course Joseph wanted to reconcile things with his brothers and make things right. And and it kind of makes us think, you know, Yeshua, you know, is yearning to be with us. We may be yearning for Mashiach to come, and we yearn for maybe at best, right? At best, 120 years. You know, average is more like 80 years. That we will be yearning for Mashiach to come. But you know, Yeshua has been alive this whole time, and he's been yearning to come back for 2,000 years. He's been yearning to come back. So, you know, when we feel like, you know, we really want him, just imagine how much more Mashiach wants to come. And it's only, you know, in Hashem's time when he is allowed to come back, you know, when he is, you know, when it is the right time for him to come back. And so, you know, these times of, you know, Yosef mourning, you know, and mourning maybe tears of joy to see them, also mourning tears of I don't know the word, maybe not word, but mourning to seeing the change in Yehuda and seeing the change in his brothers and how they care for his father as much as he does, and seeing these change in his brothers, you know, it's very touching, and it really shows how compassionate Yosef was, and how compassionate, you know, our Mashiach is. So that's what I got out of, you know, those verses, and also things I read about. So anybody else have any kind of comments?
Yeah, verse 3. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Verse 3 of chapter 45, I feel is one of the most powerful verses in the entire Bible. It's in the Torah and the Tanakh, because you can kind of hear, you know, Joseph's pain. You know, he keeps on hearing about himself, him talking about, well, our brother died, you know, and you know, and they're still kind of keeping up the lie. They didn't say we threw our brother away. You know, they said our brother died, and he kind of comes in. And he says, look, I'm Yosef. I'm the person you're talking about, and you're keeping the lie alive. Is my father alive, and you're perpetuating this. Is my father alive? What? And you know, he didn't have, you know, Moses recounting. He didn't know that his father didn't know. You know,
Yeah.
he's probably thinking, why my father has many servants, you know, why hasn't my father came and saved me, you know? And almost Rabbi Foreman says that he almost took in his mind, he took on Joseph took on Pharaoh as his father. He introduces Pharaoh as his father to his brothers later on. And so he's kind of angry at his father as well. And then he kind of realizes, okay, the perpetuation is still going on, you know. And he reveals himself, and it's just, and he sees, you know, look, I've got to stop this. I've got to stop the pain in my father. And the Midrash says that when they came back with the bloody clothes of Joseph, that Israel, he basically stopped living. He was basically a dead man. He just kind of went through the motions. He secluded himself. He became bitter. He secluded himself from his wives. He never, you know, kept on having children. He didn't see very many of his grandchildren. And it says that when that he, right before his brothers revealed to him that Joseph was alive, that they sent one of his granddaughters into Israel to sing him a song, and in the song it was about you know, the resurrection of Joseph, and it, you know, it was a resurrection of Joseph, and it was a resurrection of his father as well. You know, and it is kind of a inference that when Yeshua was when he died on the, it seemed like the earth itself, like the sun was darkened, and there was clouds and thunderings. You know, there was it almost seemed like Hashem was very upset. But just that verse 3, you can feel the pain.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Yeah.
at the same time, he does acknowledge that it was for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to point that out.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Yeah, I want to, one of the things that I see that we can learn is that when he was going to be revealed himself to the brothers, he told all the Egyptians, get out, Why? Because he knew that the next thing was going to be something that is very private. It only belonged to the family. Nobody else needed to be a witness of it. How Pharaoh learned that he was weeping is because they were listening or by the windows or behind the doors, But then the scene itself, it was something private. It was not. So that teaches also that, and besides, up to this point, never mentioned in the Torah that he ever told Pharaoh or anybody how he got there.
Mm-hmm.
He says, I brought here like unjustly. I'm not a slave, but that was it. I mean, but the person, the family matter never was mentioned to anybody.
Mm.
So on a way, he was preserving the Hashem's honor, okay, or his and his family's
Family
honor,
Yeah.
even though he could think a lot of that. A lot. He could think, my father was part of this plot, because why did he send me to Datan, where they were, So he might have think that, but the Torah never says anything. So and even when the Pharaoh talked to him and he knew about them, it shows that he never knew about, Pharaoh never knew how he got to Egypt, because otherwise would say, "Oh, this is not the one who sold you, huh? Let's get payback." So that's something for us, matters within the congregation. It's like, I don't know if the translation fits, but in Spanish we say, with the dirty diapers, we clean it at home. We don't clean it outside. Those are the things that we have to do. We have to keep things for ourselves. We cannot tell the goy or any outsider just to get it out of our chest, or just to get like sympathy. Or look what they did to me. Look what he did to me. Look what So it's something that we have to keep to ourselves. When somebody kind of goes, somebody did something to you, and then you go and tell somebody, it's because you are seeking pity. You want to have everybody to feel pity over you. Say, "Oh, poor thing. Oh, I'm sorry." Those are the things. But that's not a Jewish thought.
Mm-hmm.
And hold on, put it. And like our brother says, he he told them that, hey, it was not your making. You were just a tool, but my reason was to be here so I can save your life and the life of the Egyptians for the hunger that was coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.